Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy. I'm excited. Yes, it's almost like Christmas, but instead of unwrapping presents, I'm unwrapping the engine that this car was born with today. The engine and transmission in the '79 Fairmont go away to make room for the new monster that is going to replace it. So, take one last look, people. Last look in stock form. It goes bye-bye. Step one is going to be remove the hood. Cameraman Brian is going to assist. You'll be happy there on the tripod. Watch and see. Hood fasteners are exactly the same way they were on the Mustang, 7/16. You can hold it up here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, on the second one, well, first take that one out. On the second one, put your hand down here like this, because as soon as that one gets loose, it's going to want to go back into the body.
Like underneath?
Yeah.
Like finger masher?
Yeah, the finger masher. Like that. Yeah, there you go. I'm holding it up, so don't worry about it. All right. Going to take it and put it in a safe location. Naked. Next job, lift it up in the air, drain the fluids out of the engine and transmission, and remove the drive shaft and exhaust and everything underneath. Let's start with the transmission. It's the hardest part. And these fasteners are 1/2 inch. And there's no drain plug, so I gotta drop the pan. This is a little old Ford 3-speed. Not sure what its designation is. I'm gonna leave the last one part way in so it doesn't just fall off. Hopefully it doesn't splash too much. I don't like getting my floor dirty. Not too bad. Only a few drops. Before I clean up the floor and the splashiness, I'm just gonna drop this down so it can drain. Get as much of this fluid out of here as possible. Oh, it's so cute and little. It's adorable. And knowing that this won't be the last spill today, probably won't be, I'm just gonna leave a pile of this off to the side. Let's put the pan back on. I'm doing this because as you lift an engine out of a vehicle, fluids inevitably drip out, especially since I'm removing the drive shaft and everything else. This is an attempt to help keep things relatively clean. There's still going to be stuff going everywhere. I mean, engine stuff like this and transmission stuff is just dirty by nature. Hence the tagline. I really didn't mean to do that. I'm just doing awesome today. So awesome. I know, normally I'd crisscross, but I'm not keeping this. And I'm not tightening down all that much. So relax. This will get rid of some of the major drips. Yay, Zep. I'll put links in the description to stuff like that Zep stuff, if you care. If you don't, we can still be friends. 7/8 on the drain plug. Want to know an interesting fact? Since I bought this, I never changed the oil. So 2 years I've had this, I haven't changed the oil. I know, right? But I'm changing the engine, so big deal. Next I need to remove the drive shaft, but I forgot to put it in neutral. But that's okay. I got a plan for that. This is the linkage that connects the shifter inside the car to the transmission. I need to remove it anyway, obviously. So I'm just gonna disconnect it and put it neutral here. But this is a 9/16 fastener. There we go. So we can put it neutral from here, which, let's see, that's park, reverse, neutral. 3 clicks. I used to have a car that had a broken shifter, and I shifted it with a pair of vice grips, so I know exactly how many clicks it takes to get into neutral. And now we can rotate the drive shaft to get it out. Hey, check it out. Both wheels move in the same direction. Hee hee hee. These are 12 millimeter. It's from a different time. slide it forward and take it out. Slide it right out of the transmission. We're not reusing this either. And it's still dripping out of the back of the transmission. I told you it was going to get messy. It's just how it is. So I can keep track of the fasteners. As far as indexing and everything, it means nothing. Everything's going to be all new. This is why I kept this handy. Well, that's not encouraging. It just keeps spinning. It won't tighten up. Glad I didn't change the oil in this thing, because I would have had a leak. Next, I'd like to remove the exhaust. The bolts are old and rusty, and I have no intentions of reusing it whatsoever. The muffler and this part of the exhaust is still in there because the catalytic converter up there underneath the transmission is on a hanger. And then the other one over here is on a hanger. I sort of did it like this so I could cut the pipes and then go back in and take them off. I'm going to get the big piece out first, which would be this. To do that, there's 2 1/2-inch bolts up in here that I can remove. Oh yeah, there's another one over here. Don't want to hurt my brake line. All right, that's clear. Got to get it off that other mount now. But first I'm going to reattach that brake line. Slide this off of this mount, hopefully. Here's my move. Yeah, it's gone. And the last fastener for the tailpipe. Removed. Saving these fasteners, they can come in handy maybe. This is sort of my pile of old Fairmont parts. Part of it is what is left from the build so far. I'm leaving the space underneath the bench. I'm thinking maybe I might be able to slide the engine and transmission up under there. There's one electrical connector coming out of the body and going to the transmission here that I'm going to just disconnect. Working my way up, I'm going to remove the transmission mount bolts. I'm also going to remove the nuts off of the end of the brace. Now I'm just going to take the nuts off. I'm not going to run the bolts out because this is still going to support everything. But when the time comes, I'm going to put a floor jack up under this, lift it up, pull the bolts out, and just remove this thing entirely. That way we can pull engine and transmission as a unit. For now, we're just going to get the fasteners ready because it'll be on the ground when that happens. And it's much easier to do it now. These are 7/16, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry, they're 9/16, not 7/16. 16, schmickteen, whatever. It's again leaving the bolt in there. It's still supporting everything. Next, I'm going to remove the speedo cable. It's just a 3/8 on the back of the transmission here. And there's the gear. Remember that part of the shift linkage we disconnected earlier? Well, there's a little bit more of it connected to the engine and transmission here by another 2 3/8 fasteners. If I remove them now, I don't have to worry about them later. Probably not a bad idea to disconnect it now. That sticking out like it is might hit something on the way out. There's 2 more fasteners right here, and I'll have the rest of the shift linkage. We're going automatic to manual, so none of this matters. It's going right up through this opening. Old cars are so much fun to work on. Now we just slide this off of the bushing with a pry bar. Your shifter gets sloppy. It's probably these bushings that are worn out. That was a lot of effort for that. Well, we've worked our way forward. The engine mount nuts, these nuts, you like it when I say that for some weird reason, are the only thing holding the engine in. And they are 11/16. And its washer. I believe we've got pretty much everything disconnected. However, we need to drain the radiator, and the engine for that matter, and I'm going to start right here. I know it's been on there a while, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need these pliers. Wow, that didn't take much. Now we lower it. Take the radiator cap off, it'll drain quicker. Except today. I think it's a good time to take the battery out. I've already had this loose several times. And I don't even have the hold down in place. All this is getting changed too, because the battery's going back there in the trunk. Just gonna do some busy work here while the coolant is draining. Take the air cleaner off. Oh yeah, I remember that. I don't wanna hurt it. It's been in service for, geez, 30 some years. Now I'll disconnect the engine harness. I'm done disconnecting the engine harness. Welcome to 1979. How about this fuel line? I'm gonna go find a bolt or something to put in this so that my fuel doesn't drain all over the place. Seems like a good place. Smells like gas. I am just gonna remove this line from the brake booster, get it out of the way. I don't know if by now you will have seen the video where I did the rear brakes. Yeah, I think you probably have. That was kind of a mess. How about the throttle cable next? So 3/8 fastener. It's not very likely that I will reuse this throttle cable, but I don't want to destroy it just the same. It just pops off of the carburetor over here. I can pretty much leave everything on the front of the engine with the exception of the power steering pump. That still has hydraulic lines attached to the power steering rack below. Therefore, I'm going to remove this from the engine and lay it aside so that when I take the K-member out, which is going to be one of the next things I do, I can do that with the power steering reservoir, pump, everything. As far as the alternator and the AC, that can all actually stay attached. I can just detach a couple of things over there, but this power steering pump has, weirdly, a Torx bit for this long fastener in the front to loosen. I'm gonna take that all the way out in a minute. I just want to get it off the belt. Then there's a 9/16 down below that. That pretty much gets my belt off. Then it's a matter of removing these other fasteners. And I'm doing this all while the coolant is draining. I want as much of that to drain out as possible before I start removing other things. There we are. I will now remove the fan shroud. It's just to keep you from getting your hands stuck in there. Very simple, no clutch fan, nothing. This thing is probably killing about, oh, maybe like 10 horsepower, just spinning all the time like it is. In fact, when you accelerate, you can hear this fan more than anything else. You park over anything dusty, it just makes like a little tornado under the car. It's funny. Yeah, I won't need this in the times to come. I'll leave these here though, just in case. It might come in handy for something. That radiator's still draining. However, I can loosen the hose clamp. I'm just gonna loosen them at the engine and take the hoses and everything out with the radiator. Seems easiest. Same with the heater hoses. How about these transmission lines? Let's soak them with some penetrating oil. This has to happen anyway. Seems easiest just to disconnect these here. Although I'm looking at, well, I could just move it past the lower hose here. Now, I could have used that end, but these are like really stout wrenches. They don't spread, not that much. Anyway, see if we have the same luck down here. These are 5/8 and the inner one is half. Ah, there we go. Good girl. Yay! I like it when it works. Now I'll do the other radiator hose. Aside from the overflow tube, which I will disconnect now, the radiator's ready to come out. And that's exactly what I intend to do. These are 1/2 inch. We'll need that later. These I will reuse. So I'm just going to put them in the car for now so that they all stay together. Trunk seems like a good place for this stuff. Once I work it past the transmission lines, I just work it right up out of here. This way it won't leak out on my floor. Put it with the other parts. Let's do this side. The heater AC hoses totally in the way. So I guess the first thing to do is disconnect this fastener. It looks like a 3/8. All right, there's one wire going to the compressor to the inside. Oh, hey, they did leave me a connector. I was gonna cut it, but hey, that works. I'm trying to decide which way to go. How about this electrical connector? If you don't know which way to go, just disconnect electrical connectors. By the way, I'm putting a completely new harness in this. I'm just trying to be nice, just in case this engine gets reused, sold, whatever. Trying to do the right thing, man. Looks like this battery cable is going with the engine. It's good for me because, once again, we're relocating our battery to the trunk. This AC all leaked out. There's nothing in here, so I can undo these hoses with confidence. But this was dealer installed air, pretty sure of it. Or maybe an aftermarket company, I don't know. I won't know until I get a look at the compressor after it's off the vehicle. Huh. Guess there is a little bit still in there. But there's no way for me to recover R12, which is what the system had in it. There's no way it had 134 in it. And I kind of hate that there was no way I could recover it, but I was kind of glad that it was leaked out. Because that way I didn't have to explain to you why I was venting it to the atmosphere, which I am strongly against. AC compressor is now part of the engine. Like I said, I'm going to take the heater hoses with the engine. Got a whole new plan for back here. And I'm going to be in the dash figuring that out at some point, but that day is not today. Probably should move my coolant catch back this way. And this one, I'm definitely cutting the hoses off of here because that's brass, and brass bends really super easy. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did on the AC hoses. I mean, I'm sure there's heater cores for 1979 Fairmont still floating around somewhere, but I can't imagine they'd be easy to find. I'm just checking to see if it'll come off. Oh, that side's gonna be good. I forgot to move. You forgot to remind me. I forgive you this time. Ah, that one did too. Sweet. To my heater valve. Bunch of vacuum lines that all go to this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about this vacuum reservoir and everything else. Last but not least, I think I could just take this whole evaporative emissions assembly off of here. Yeah, just one bolt holds it on. But this vacuum line, it's a vent to the tank, which I'll figure out. I'm not sure how to solve that problem yet. You do need a tank vent. I don't like venting it to the atmosphere, and I certainly don't like venting it in the engine compartment. So this may come back in some form. I'm not going to get rid of this engine until I've fully committed to the other one. Definitely don't want to break that. Somebody cheese that up. That's a vacuum reservoir, by the way. it holds vacuum. There's just one 3/8 fastener holding the top of this on. I think it might just be clipped in underneath. Looks like all I've got is a connection to the starter, which is this. There's also this engine ground, and lastly, this vacuum line. This vacuum line goes to the transmission modulator. That was easy. So I just slid that one off. This engine compartment is opening up now, isn't it? And there's, that's smaller than I thought it would be. I know, that's what she said. This is the line that goes to the vacuum modulator that I was talking about before. This is where the body ground connects to the engine block. Now that's something I'm going to need for the new engine. Therefore, instead of trying to find that small fastener, I thought what I would do is just disconnect it here at the transmission. Now, this is a 9/16. For those of you playing at home, body grounds are super important. Without them, all kinds of electrical woes. This is in essence the path back to the battery for many of the accessories on your vehicle, such as your windshield wipers, your headlights, your fans, your all kinds of stuff. It all grounds to the body, which is used as a giant ground. And this goes to the engine block, which has a cable that goes directly to battery ground, which in this case is this guy right over here. That goes directly to the engine. We're just going to leave that with that. So, and there we have it. We've got our own body ground back. And I dare say, this engine is disconnected and ready to come out. I pulled a lot of engines with this seatbelt. This one will be no exception. Actually, I have a couple of places just for engine pulling. My chain seems a bit long. I was looking for something shorter, which is why I chose this. The shorter it is, the less I have to lift it up. I'll support it with the engine crane, and I'll go underneath and lift up the transmission so I can get that brace out, because without any stress on that brace, those bolts will come right out and I'll be able to just slide that piece right out of the way. My modified engine hoist. I'll put a link in the description to the video I did about modifying it. I'm thinking that should be good. Nailed it. Should have made it shorter. Still time. The beauty of the seatbelt. If I want it shorter, I will have it shorter. There we go. It's loose. Let's get that brace out. Yeah, I'm putting a wood block under there to protect the pan. Now these bolts should come out. This is an important piece of kit. I'm going to be saving it and its bolts. I'm going to go see if I can find the nuts, put them on the other side so everything's all contained. Going to let the transmission down, and it's probably going to get drippy. So I don't have to lift this engine and transmission up a mile high. I'm actually going to lower the car down onto the ground now that everything underneath is disconnected, and keep an eye out in there for anything that might get damaged or crushed at the same time. pry bar should take care of that. It'll be loose and it'll move forward. Never stick your finger down in places like this. Pry bars are your friend. There we go. Same thing over here. We're good. We're totally good. I'm just gonna pull it forward a little bit because the back of the engine's hitting the firewall somewhat. Yeah, dropping this down. I can drop it down a little more. It's no longer in danger, it seems. Slow and steady. Yes, having a lift makes this awesome, just saying. That's just the tires in the back. They're all sticky. They want to hold the road. I think that's it. Yeah, there's no more going down. I'm going to take a quick break for a social media opportunity, and I will be right back. Here goes. Just about maxed out. And there we have it. The engine and transmission that she was born with. Now, an empty husk, waiting to be filled with horsepower. Well, viewers, that's all this video was about, was removing the old engine and transmission. Stay tuned for future episodes of the Fairmont project at EricTheCarGuy. If you have automotive questions, please go to EricTheCarGuy.com, link in the description, and make it easy. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you wish to connect with me socially. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. I'll see you next time.